if we have a personal website, our browsing history, online subscriptions, any photo galleries or videos that we've uploaded. So anything that we do online that has our name on it. But if we think about young people today, they really think twice about putting their names on the things that we put online, so their footprints can be pretty wide. And just from that then, just from a basic start, we'll go and highlight the aims for today. So we're going to focus on the awareness of our online reputation, and if not just our personal one, but our service users, more importantly, and our customers. We will understand at the end of the session how to manage our online reputation. And then it's really important to have that knowledge of the personal and private communication. So it's okay to post things publicly, but can we limit ourselves on what goes private and what needs to be public? So we've just got a few stats there. So social media has a dramatic effect on our digital footprint. Even if your safety settings are set to the strongest setting, you can't really assume any level of privacy. Some people, for example, forget that they friended a co-worker or their boss on Facebook and post something negative about the company, for example. Things can always be misinterpreted. And you know, everything that we do post online will be there. And it's really interesting as well, because roughly a third of internet users say that the following pieces of information are available about them online, and you may probably agree with this as well. So things like your email address, maybe your home address, your phone number, your employer. But a quarter of people say that they didn't know if this information was online about them, so we don't always know what's available online. So just to give us a rough idea of the background of things, these statistics were collected last summer, so July 2015, where the worldwide population was just over 7 billion. Of that population, can you think how many of those were active internet users? Just a quick idea, and if you type your comment in the comments box, that'd be good. 3 billion, thank you, Paul. Good start. 4 billion, Helef, diolch. Anyone else? Any other guesses? Okay, so we've got 3, 4, 4.5, 3.5, 5, thank you. So the answer at the time, oh, and thanks, Hannah, was 3.17 billion. So of those active internet users, how many do you think would have been active social media users? Again, just quick guesses. All of them, okay, Paul? We've got 1.5 billion, half, 2.5 billion. Okay, very good guesses. I wouldn't know where to start. So we've got 2.3 billion who were active social media users, and the majority of those were Facebook. So Facebook actually has more users than the others combined. Oh, Alex, okay. If you have to leave, that's fine. I'm hoping that we can send the recording out to you at the end. Okay, so we'll just go back to the session. If you think of your own social media accounts, how many different accounts do you have? So our Facebook account will count as one, our Twitter account will be another. Okay, so Carl has 2 accounts, Paul has 7, Susan has 1, 3, 4 personal one, okay, and Rosie 4 as well. 8, Abby, okay, and then we've got 5. And then Julian doesn't have 1, okay, that's fine. So on average, yeah, Heled, okay, you fit in with the average internet user then. So on average, we do have 5 social media accounts. And we may tend to share different information on all those accounts. So if we just think, you know, just have a quick think of the amount of information we may share about ourselves or the work that we may do. Now, from those accounts then, we may have the Facebook Messenger app as well, and a WhatsApp account. Can you even begin to imagine how many messages are sent over those platforms every day? 100 billion, okay. 100 million, 5 billion. Okay, so we've actually sending 60 million messages a day, which is 60 billion. That was what that should be. I'm really sorry. I think there was a mix in translation. I recently showed this slide to a group of college students in Pwllheli, and they informed me that they make more use of Snapchat than they do of the other platforms. And then we found out that it would take 158 years to watch 24 hours worth of Snapchat stories. So that is, again, an unbelievable scale. So social media really has a dramatic impact on our digital footprint, and that's what we're going to focus on today. And then again, the impact that it will have on our future, because anything that you put online at any stage in your life has the potential to be there forever, and also the potential to follow you, from job to job. So we do need to make sure that we are in control, and not just us, but our service users and the people that we're supporting as well, so we can have a positive impact. And there are so many positive things that are shared on social media, and I'm sure you would all agree. Who remembers this? This was actually shared back in 2007. But of course, since then, the child's grown up, and even though it's still shared on our profiles daily, it doesn't mean that maybe he's happy with that post anymore. So there's just an article here. He's now 10 years old. So imagine, he's going to be starting secondary school, but he will always be that success kid, that post that was shared back in 2007. And in reality, we don't have to be posting about hating our jobs and not wanting to go to work the next day, because employers can find old pictures. It doesn't have to be the current things that we're posting about. It's the things that will always be there. And our digital footprint, can be made up of a variety of things. So again, our social media profiles that we've just been sharing information about, our pictures that are on social media, not maybe necessarily on our accounts, articles that we may be, that we may have taken part in. So even if you're not online, or even if your customers or your service users aren't online, maybe something that could affect their reputation is online. So one way of checking this, of course, would be to put your own name into Google. Have you ever done this? Has anyone ever put their own name into Google? Yes? Yeah. Okay, so the majority of you have. And again, yeah, thank you. I like that you said of course, because to some of us, it may be something that we do regularly to check. But if we are new to using the internet and online services, it may not be something that they've done. And the results, they may not even be happy with the results. Do you think your service users would be happy with the results if they did the same? So there's an example here of when we put Hannah's name into Google. Hope you don't mind, Hannah, even though you're helping out today with all the typing. So Hannah is our trainer in South Wales, and we actually found a review that she left on her driving instructor's website, as well as her social media accounts as well. It was a positive review, but then again, if we would have done it and Hannah would have had a bad experience, that could have been shared with anyone. All right, okay, that's really interesting, Paul. So if we do share a name with a famous person, or if we have maybe a name that's quite common, yeah, definitely, it keeps us hidden, definitely. And again, it depends if which part of the world you currently live and where you're from as well. And that takes us nicely really to the next section of the training. So a lot of people think that their privacy settings will actually protect them, so the privacy settings that they will have on their social media accounts. And in reality, for the vast majority of people, they do protect them. but it's extremely important to regularly check our privacy settings and never really assume what they mean. And, well, really, if we think of it as it's being safer to assume that there's no such thing as private online and conduct our reputation in that manner, that would be, you know, a good tip. It's something I always share with my younger sisters. Please don't share something on Facebook that you wouldn't shout in the street, because it is something that, you know, the things that we're sharing are things that we should be proud of and definitely something positive. So if something needs to be private, there are other channels that we can use. So again, we've had examples of Hannah's Facebook statuses here, the ones that she didn't post, because of course she doesn't hate her job or the coffee. But there are examples of things that, you know, we may think are a bit light-hearted, or our service users may, and they can be perceived in a different way. So the privacy of messages, for example, on Facebook, the messaging system itself, so Facebook Messenger, is completely closed. So there are no privacy settings that can be tweaked to expose those conversations, and no one else can see who we're communicating with either. And again, we may be aware of this, but it is important that we highlight these sorts of things to new users, especially things like the fact that private messages don't appear anywhere else on Facebook. But then at the same time, there is the chance of the message being forwarded on, or someone taking a screenshot, for example. Now, messages on Facebook walls are the messages that have been posted there directly using the post box on the top of the page. So when we are maybe showing Facebook for the first time to a new user, it's highlighting that if they're using the post box at the top of the page, it will be public to whoever visits that profile. And then when we post messages on other people's profiles as well, just to make sure how far that post is going, because it may be shared with their friends of friends as well. In 2010, though, TripAdvisor partnered with Facebook to help their travelers see reviews that have been left by their friends. Has anyone used TripAdvisor themselves? Yes, okay. Do you make comments or do you read other reviews? Okay, you do both, Rosie. Hella, just read other reviews. Okay, and Paul, you read more than we post. Yeah, I think that may be the nature with TripAdvisor. A lot of you tend to read more reviews. Read the reviews. I made a review for a particular and read reviews always. Okay, great. When we do tend to make a review on the TripAdvisor, just a little tip, it's important that we have maybe a sense of, well, keeping ourselves anonymous if we are, for example, okay, you refuse to use Facebook, Al, okay. If we're using TripAdvisor, sorry, we can remain, you know, to a sense anonymous, especially if we're leaving reviews on maybe public bars or restaurants that are local to us. I'm always encouraging family members to do stuff online, but then it wasn't until my grandfather left a bad review on a local restaurant because they didn't give my nine enough chips that night. And he happens to have a very unusual name, not like you, Paul, sharing your name with a footballer. So, you know, straight away it was exposed. He didn't know that his name was going to be public on the TripAdvisor page. So it's just an example of how, you know, my grandparents happened to fall out with somebody because of an online review. So it's just being cautious of what we use as our username on something like TripAdvisor, even though, you know, we are encouraged to share our experiences there as well. Twitter seems to be becoming the place to also share reviews. I'm struggling to get the page of Twitter up with the screenshots. Has anyone read the hashtag bad customer services or hashtag bad customer service? So gone are the days really where people would call up a company and complain. People are a lot more likely to head to their smartphones or computers to tell the world maybe how terrible a service is. So, okay, Abby, you've looked at it. Paul and Susan, you haven't. Okay, maybe if you do have a few minutes later on, it would be good to do. And you will be amazed with how many tweets there are with the hashtag bad customer service. And that's why customer service is becoming increasingly important on social media platforms like Twitter. We found a study done by Simply Measured, and it showed that 99% of brands are actually on Twitter, and 30% of them have a dedicated customer service handle. The average response time now, if we do make a complaint on Twitter, is only 5 hours, with 10% of companies actually answering within an hour, and 93% of companies answering within 48 hours. So, you know, if we think of the scale of that, we make a complaint and we get a response 93% of the time within 48 hours. It's extremely fast compared to what we may have been used to if it was to make a phone call or to write a letter. And then to go back onto the positive examples, this again shows the power of tweets. I'm sure most of you have seen these pictures that were included, and one of the most, you know, retweeted picture of all time. The one with Ellen DeGeneres, it was actually retweeted more than 3 million times. It may have helped that she had Brad Pitt in her picture and Julia Roberts, but it does highlight the positive social media posts and the fact that we actually may miss out on day-to-day news if we're not involved. And even though this seems to be a bit light-hearted, it is something that could become a serious matter. And even if photos or posts are deleted from Facebook, we do need to be aware that people may have taken screenshots, or people may also upload things about us, you know, that we may not necessarily be comfortable with. Right, so just a few tips to share here. So if we go back to Facebook, and the chances are that your service users can definitely be counted, you know, with 1.5 billion people who are monthly active users of the social media service. And there's practically no other website that does contain such a breadth and depth of our personal information. So encouraging our service users to stop using them, you know, may not be the best thing to do, but it is good to have them to be strict with what they post on their social media accounts. Keeping a list of the accounts is really important, because the things that we use may generally change. So when I said about the college students using a lot of Snapchat at the moment, it may not be the case in a few months' time. So it's a good idea to delete the ones that we no longer use. Examples of things that we may have deleted in the past could be MySpace or Bebo, Pixo we were talking about recently. And rather than just forgetting about it, it's important that we find it and delete it. And then another tip would be not to overshare. And this could be the best tip for helping people maintain their privacy. Not oversharing, especially, you know, when we're talking about our private lives as well. Using a password keeper. So if we maybe try and get you to share tips amongst yourselves as well, does anyone have an app that you use to save passwords? Especially as we're encouraged to use different passwords for different accounts. Okay, Paul, no, do you remember yours? Helen, no, but you need one. Okay, you save yours in the notes. Okay, oh, glad you're back, Susan. Carl, you don't save one either. Okay, so there are lots of apps that we can save, that we can download. So rather than us remembering 25 different passwords for all of our accounts, we remember one password that will let us into the app. And then all of our passwords for everything else will be there. So that could be a tip, especially if people are signing up for the first time. And yeah, thank you, Hannah. The How Secure Is My Password site could be giving people confidence that their passwords are secure, so that will tell us how long a computer would take to crack our passwords. So we know that by adding numbers or symbols, it will increase the length of time it would take for our passwords to be cracked. But by now, though, every site has their own unique rules, and some sites won't let you actually create an account unless your password maybe has 8 digits, has a couple of numbers and symbols as well. Googling yourself is something that we've already talked about, and definitely a good tip that can be shared with other people. If we link our accounts, so if we link our social media accounts, for example, we can link our Twitter or Facebook account, or if I use Instagram as an example. So if our Instagram account is private and we need to accept somebody to follow us in order for them to see our photos, if we then share those photos on Twitter, our Twitter followers will be able to see our Instagram posts even if they don't follow us on Instagram. So it's really important when we're linking our accounts that we know what the privacy settings are on both. So what I'm saying simply is, I don't follow somebody on Instagram, but I do follow her on Twitter. She links her Twitter and Instagram accounts. So when she posts on Instagram, there's an automatic tweet. I will open that photo and I will see what she's posted on Instagram, even though I don't follow her on Instagram. It could be an idea to use a secondary email, so whether we're communicating with someone new or signing up to a new platform. So that means then, it's always useful to have a secondary email account so we can make sure that all our emails relating to that go there. It's similar when people are maybe looking for work as well. But that said, we don't need 12 email accounts, and it's important to keep it all manageable. And then sending something, we always have to know it's always going to be there. And then just the last little tip is that the other side to our digital footprint. So it's not always the information that we choose to make public. So privacy controls or no privacy controls, Facebook will still record and use every scrap of information it gets to determine its users as marketing demographics, for example, and Google will do the same. So if we're logged into our Google accounts, the service will track every keyword that we search, every web page that we visit, and then every time we visit YouTube as well. So it's important that we are aware of those kind of things. So seeing as our digital footprint can do so much for us, it's really important that we can build a positive digital footprint. So if we are creating content, whether it's a Facebook post or a picture, make it positive or meaningful. And I'm just going to play a short video and I'll be back in a minute. There we go. A very simple video, but I think it was very much straight to the point. And it's important if we are sharing tips and giving our service users advice as well, that we are comfortable to show videos, because there are so many useful videos out there. We'll share the link for that one with you as well. But in all honesty, everyone does have bad days, and it's not about hiding the negative, but it's just about thinking about how we can present things maybe in a way that will reflect positively on us. So there are two examples here of things that have been shared on social media that, may be perceived in different ways. Can you think of ways that we could maybe rephrase those updates to maybe make them look a little bit more positive if we do intend on sharing that sort of thing on social media? Yeah, another tough day, Reg. Okay, completely change it around, Helen, and say that you love your boss. Great. Any other ideas? And if people are unsure, it may be good advice to give that they don't talk about work at all on social media. If they have maybe a work Twitter account, for example, then they make use of that to talk about work, but nothing personal, and it's just sharing positive experiences. Because what we don't want is for that negativity to reflect badly on us, whether it's leaving a bad review or posting a status on Facebook or sending a tweet. Even if we're leaving a review, it may sometimes look bad on us and not the company. Yeah, that's really nice, Abby. So it's been a challenging day, but I've learned a lot. Definitely. So just to briefly summarise, we all have a digital footprint and we all need to manage it. It's extremely important that new users know what to post, when to post, and interacting really is an online basic skill to really make sure that we receive better services and that our voices are heard. And that's fine. We should definitely encourage online interaction, because that's what the services are there for, and it's important that everyone has the confidence to do that. But things like privacy settings, Facebook, for example, it keeps changing its privacy settings. So we need to make sure that we go through our settings, maybe consider limiting previous posts in case some of them are public, because the settings are constantly changing on Facebook. And even though deleting previous posts may take hours, days, weeks, it may be an activity worth doing, especially if people are looking for work or for various reasons. In terms of our profile picture, we don't have to have a profile picture, but if we do, our profile picture will be public and may prevent employers or even our current employer, it could be off-putting. So a presentable profile picture may come in handy, really. And again, it's something really important to pass on to the people that you're supporting. Some social platforms could get you into a lot of trouble if you share the wrong content. And this doesn't even have to be about your work. You could be tweeting about the finale of Game of Thrones before it aired somewhere else. So it's just bearing all these things in mind when we do make these choices of what to post online, because they are always going to be there. And I think that's it. Thank you for listening. You will get a link to provide feedback at the end of the session, so I'd really appreciate if you can share those with us. I'll also be sharing a link to the webinar with you and a list of resources after the session. So if you could have a look at that, and that'd be fine. And it would be really good if you do have any questions, please do get in touch with us. Our contact details are there. I'll put my audio off now, so I'll stop talking. You don't have to listen to my voice for any longer. But both Hannah and I will be here to answer questions should you have any. We'll wait for around 10 minutes, so we'll wait until 1:45. If you could also, thank you, Abby, share resources with each other. So you've got the Digital Eagles, the Barclays link. That would be really good. So we'll be here to answer your questions till 1:45. And thank you very much for taking part. Os gennych chi gwestiwn yn Gymraeg hefyd, fyddai'n gallu ateb heini. Diolch.